Arizona Defense Testing Range. Midday sun hammers concrete and steel. 13 professional snipers, all men stand shoulder to shoulder. One by one, they kneel behind high-powered rifles. 13 shots boom across the desert. 13 misses. General Ryan Carter pulls off his shade's jaw clenched. Any shooter's left dead quiet. Then a voice female, cool unshaken, slices the heat. "May I have a turn, sir?" Every head snaps around. A woman walks out from the supply tent. Plain uniform, 0 patches, 0. Fame, just quiet certainty. If you've ever been counted out just for not fitting the mold, keep watching. True strength doesn't need a megaphone. Dawn cracks over the Arizona Post. Captain Emily Brooks wakes without an alarm. 32 years old, medium height, brown hair twisted into a tight knot. Nothing about her screams special. That's the point. She brews black coffee in a dented steel pot. No sugar, no cream, just fire and fuel. While it drips, she knocks out 50 push-ups on the icy barracks floor. Then sit-ups, then stretches that tug at old scars nobody mentions. From under her bunk, she drags a battered rifle case. Inside an M210 sniper rifle retired 3 years back. The weapon isn't on her books anymore. Doesn't matter. Every morning, she breaks it down, cleans every part, puts it back together in 4 minutes flat. Muscle memory never sleeps. She drinks her coffee standing at the window, watching the sun gild the mountains. The rifle gleams on her cot. By 0600, she's dressed and striding across the training yard to the logistics office where she keeps supply chains humming and ammo counts perfect. Not sexy, not combat, just vital. A squad of soldiers jogs past young guys with fresh fades and loud jokes. One whistles, "Hey, coffee girl, any donuts today?" Another piles on, "Inventory princess." Emily keeps walking, boots crunching gravel, but her eyes, anyone paying attention, would see them track motion like a hawk. She clocks the tiny hitch in the third guy's left knee. The way the fourth baby, his right shoulder winds speed from the flag's flutter. Distance to the range from the echo of practice rounds. She sees it all. At the ammo depot, a rookie drops a crate. Rounds spill everywhere, mixed calibers. Different grains, chaos. Damn, the kid mutters, dropping to his knees. Emily kneels beside him. No words, she sorts the bullets by caliber grain and maker in under 30 seconds. Each one placed exactly where it lives. The rookie gawks. "How did you—" Physics, Emily says simply. She stands, brushes dust off her palms, walks off. Staff Sergeant Lopez, watching from the doorway, squints. That wasn't luck. That was schooling. Deep schooling. He files it away, but stays quiet. The morning's disrespect didn't end with a whistle. As Emily finished her rounds at the restricted ordnance cage, she found a crucial manifest, the daily log of all 7.62mm precision rounds, crumpled and stuffed into a nearby barrel of cleaning rags. The paperwork was soaked through with oil, deliberately ruined just moments before Major Powell required it for his sign-off. She straightened her face, a mask of practiced neutrality, and looked toward the far end of the depot, where 2 junior armorers, the same ones who'd called her Coffee Girl, were conspicuously wiping down equipment and failing to meet her eye. The action wasn't just lazy. It was intentional sabotage meant to make her miss her deadline and look incompetent in a non-combat role. Without saying a single word, Emily walked to the nearest workbench, pulled out a fresh manifest sheet, and began rewriting the entire inventory from memory. The rapid rhythmic scratching of her pen against the ledger paper was the only sound each entry a stark, silent rebuke to their petty malice. She didn't check her notes or consult the physical stock. The count batch numbers, expiration dates, and total weight flowed perfectly onto the new form, accurate down to the last digit. When the armorers finally sidled past, pretending to leave, she simply placed the completed spotless manifest exactly where the ruined one had been, a full 5 minutes ahead of schedule. The silence that followed her action was heavy, with a grudging, resentful acknowledgement of her competence far more potent than any shouted argument. Later that morning, Emily sits in a briefing room with 15 other officers. Major Powell clicks through slides up front. The 4,000-meter trial, he declares. Experimental extreme range program. We're picking shooters for elite training. Names flash on screen. Top-tier snipers match winners, combat vets with confirmed kills at crazy distances. Emily's name never shows. Captain Brooks Powell says, without glancing her way. This is combat billets only. No supply officers. She nods once, no pushback, no whine, but her hands on the table tighten for half a heartbeat. Just outside the briefing room, Staff Sergeant Lopez, the officer who'd seen her quick work with the spilled ammo, intercepted her path. He was a barrel-chested man, his uniform straining over hard muscle bearing a reputation, earned in places the media never talked about. "Brooks," he rumbled, his voice low enough to avoid drawing attention, but tight with professional condescension. "You think that nod sold anyone? Look, I saw you sort those rounds. Good logistics skill, good for a support role." He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her. "But this is combat. The 4,000-meter trial isn't about counting. It's about being built different. It's about the killer instinct. You don't have the one that makes you want to be on that slide. You don't have the stomach for the math when the wind tries to rip the barrel off your shoulder, Captain." He paused, letting his words land like brass slugs. "Don't embarrass the command by even thinking about stepping outside your lane. Go count boxes. Leave the impossible to the professionals." Emily didn't flinch. She simply tilted her head, her gaze penetrating and utterly devoid of malice. "Sergeant," she said, her tone cool and level, "the stomach for the math is the only thing that separates a shooter from a gambler, and my math is perfect. If the range opens up, I'll see you on the mat." She didn't wait for his response, walking past him and leaving the senior sniper standing alone, a vein ticking visibly in his temple, unsure if he'd just been threatened or promised a public humiliation. After the meeting, she walks back to quarters alone. The sun is brutal now, white and mean. She passes the range where the chosen shooters are warming up. She doesn't slow down. Back in her room, she opens her wall locker. Under folded uniforms and standard gear sits a small cedar box. She lifts the lid gently. Inside, a faded photo of 5 soldiers in desert camo. Younger Emily grinning rare, surrounded by her squad. Beneath the picture, a silver casing etched with coordinates and a date. Afghanistan, 2016. She shuts the box, slides it back into shadow. Some memories stay buried. 2 days later, the whole base packs the extreme range lane. General Ryan Carter stands in front of hundreds uniformed sharp despite the furnace heat. Behind him, a giant screen shows a target 4,000 dojoro out almost 2.5 miles. This isn't Ego Carter Start's voice carrying over the troops. This is stretching what humans can do. The Phantom training program needs shooters who can thread impossible shots under impossible conditions. He sweeps an arm toward the range. $4,000 mail. Wind Heat Mirage bullet drop of over 800 FT 1 round. Whoever rings steel earns the slot. Before the first shooter even touched the rifle, a nervous colonel approached General Carter, pulling him aside near the command trailer. The colonel's face was pale beneath his tan, his voice a frantic whisper. "General, sir, we need to scrub this distance. Now." The atmospheric data from the range control tower shows a 14-degree F temperature inversion over the second mile, creating an unpredictable oscillating mirage. We ran simulations. The margin of error for even the slightest wind adjustment at 4,000 meters is exponentially impossible. This isn't a trial, sir. It's a spectacle of failure. We're going to shatter the morale of every elite shooter here. Carter listened, his eyes fixed on the distant target, almost invisible against the heat haze. He reached into his breast pocket, pulled out a worn photograph of his Kandahar fire team, and tucked it back in without a word. He turned to the colonel, his voice a low, hard rasp that tolerated zero dissent. "Impossible is exactly what Phantom needs, Colonel. If they can't face this range, they can't face the threat. If the rules of physics are broken, we need to find the shooter who can write a new rule. The distance stays. Every miss today is a lesson they'd rather learn here than in a hot zone." The colonel swallowed hard, glanced from the general to the impossible distance, and retreated without another argument, the absolute finality of Carter's resolve hanging in the desert air. 13. Elite snipers step up, men with medal racks, trophy cases, operators with 3-digit body counts. The crowd watches in hushed respect as the first shooter settles in. He's meticulous, checks wind with Orchestra logs. Humidity dials the turret with surgeon clicks. He breathes, steadies fires. The report cracks. 4 seconds of nothing. Then the spotter, misleft, 2M. The shooter stands annoyed but cool. Second sniper takes the mat. Faster, cockier. ex-Marine scout with ice in his veins. He fires. Miss right 3M. The snipers were not simply missing the steel, they were failing to even hold the same square meter. The spotters calls, high 1.5 right 0.8, dead vertical left 2. One charted a dizzying pattern of dispersion, a visible map of the desert's chaotic manipulation. Captain Diaz, watching from the periphery, muttered to Lieutenant Parker, "They're fighting a kaleidoscope. Look at the mirage on the 3,000-meter mark. It's not just bending the light, it's making the target jump breathing in and out with the heat pockets. You can't dope for that because it changes in the bullet's flight time." A renowned competitive shooter, a man who lived by his charts, threw his logbook onto the ground in frustration, the heavy paper fluttering open to pages of useless data. His teammate knelt gently retrieving the book, his expression one of profound professional defeat. "It's the Coriolis," he whispered, a tremor in his voice. "We adjusted for spin, but the density shift is throwing the vertical plane. It's too complex. The target might as well be on another planet." The collective realization settled over the elite crew. This wasn't about equipment or skill anymore. It was a physics problem, too dense, too dynamic, and too cruel for human calculation. Third shooter, fourth, fifth. Each brings different gear, different voodoo, different swagger. Each misses. The crowd's buzz fades to nervous quiet. Sixth shooter, seventh, eighth. By the 10th, Miss whispers, "Ripple. Conditions must be rigged. Maybe the target's busted. Maybe this is a psych out." General Carter watches stone-faced arms folded. 11th miss, 12th, 13th. Captain Diaz, final shooter, lowers his rifle, pissed. He's rung steel at 3,200 minutes before. This should be doable, but it isn't. Carter scans the formation. Anyone else? Nobody breathes. The best trigger pullers on post just ate dirt. Who'd step up now? Silence drags, then from the back row, a voice. "May I try?" Sir Heads swivel. Confusion spreads like wildfire. Emily Brooks threads through the crowd. She's in everyday utilities. No plate carrier, no tricked-out rifle. Lieutenant Parker actually laughs out loud. "You for real right now?" Captain Diaz smirks. She doesn't even rate a combat badge. Maybe she'll shoot the moon. Someone snorts. Chuckles spread. Emily keeps walking, eyes locked forward. As Emily reached the firing line, Captain Diaz, still stewing from his humiliating miss, spoke up with a malicious edge. "Wait a minute, General. If she's going to make a spectacle, let's at least make it fair. That Chaytak has a fresh 0. Brooks, the supply clerk, hasn't fired a precision round in 3 years. She probably couldn't tell the difference between a Mildot and a donut. I demand she use my rifle." He gestured toward his heavily customized, personally tuned long gun, a masterpiece of expensive engineering that required weeks to master. General Carter started to intervene, but Emily cut him off, her voice slicing through the tension like cold steel. "No, sir," she stated, addressing Carter while keeping her eyes fixed on Diaz. "His rifle is doped to his breath control and his ocular bias. It's his equation. I brought my own." She reached into a small canvas pouch she carried, not her journal, but a specific kit. From it, she produced a single high-tolerance micrometer and a miniature spirit level. She carefully placed the level on the Chaytak scope rail, and then with uncanny speed used the micrometer to check the exact distance of the locking lugs on the rifle's bolt, the heart of its accuracy. She glanced at Diaz, her expression utterly flat. "I know this weapon to 0.0001 of an inch," she said. "If I miss, it won't be the rifle's fault." The raw, undeniable competence of her physical inspection, the way she treated the foreign weapon like an extension of her own nervous system, snapped the laughter out of the crowd's lungs. Diaz could only watch his challenge neutralized by her sheer intimidating professionalism. General Carter studies her. Something scratches at memory, something he can't grab. Her face rings a bell, but from where Captain Brooks. He says slow, "You get that this is 4,000 dollars in shifty wind with Mirage screwing ballistics past 500 meru." Emily answers calm, "Yes, sir." "I get it." The crowd hushes. Carter holds her stare a long beat, then tips his chin. "1 round, Captain." "Don't waste it." Emily steps to the line. The rifle waiting is a Chaytak Intervention, brand new foreign, not her old M2010. She hefts it. Feels balance, cycles the bolt. Trigger crisp glass clear around her troops. Whisper and grin. This'll be rich. A supply clerk out sniping gods, but Emily tunes them out. She pulls a small leather journal from her pocket, flips to pages crammed with scribbled dope, wind formulas, density tables, Coriolis charts. She eyes the wind flags, then the heat ripples dancing over the berm. Her gaze traces invisible rivers in the air. She draws one bullet from her pocket, rolls it in sunlight, checks runout. Custom loaded, perfectly balanced. She seats it with ritual care. The crowd leans in despite themselves. Emily drops prone snugs the stock peers through glass. Sun scorches. Sweat beads everywhere, except on her. Breathing slow, metronome steady. Heart rate, 58 BPM. The desert noise. The murmuring crowd, the thrum of generators all coalesced into a loud, buzzing backdrop that most snipers tried to eliminate with deep concentration. But Emily didn't try to eliminate it. She processed it, absorbing every vibrational input. As she settled into the absolute perfect point of tension, that sweet spot between full relaxation and taut control, her senses intensified beyond the realm of normal perception. The faint woo-woo-woo of a helicopter engine miles away told her the pressure gradient was dropping slightly north of the range. The dry, papery rattle of a tumbleweed snagged on the fence behind her indicated a new lower ground-level gust not visible on the flags. She felt the micro-vibrations of the concrete slab through the cheek rest, sensing the subtle thermal shift in the pad beneath her body. Her skin read the air density against her exposed forearms, like Braille translating invisible dynamic pressure differentials into pure raw data. This wasn't observation, it was communion. For a fraction of a second, the entire complex ecosystem of the desert became a single, perfectly legible, three-dimensional blueprint of the bullet's inevitable path. That single silent moment of complete sensory absorption was the core of her Viper ability, the reason she never needed the electronics everyone else relied upon. Wind gusts. Without gadgets, she clicks 0.3 mil right. Finger finds the trigger. The desert holds its breath. Silence thick electric humming. Emily's universe shrinks to one dot, 4 boson away. Everything else vanishes. The crowd, the laughs, the doubt. Only steel exists. Breathing drops lower. In, hold, out, hold. She learned this cadence in mountains where air was razor thin and every exhale cost, where one shot decided who went home in seats and who went home in bags. Through the scope, heat ghosts waltz. The target swims warped by temperature layers and sky trickery. It isn't where it looks. Physics lies at this range, but Emily speaks fluent lies. Wind 12 mph, gusting 15, northeast veering. That means right push, but gust adds vertical string. Dial left, 1.8 meter down, 0.4. Temp, 96 degrees. Barometer, 30.12. NHG, humidity, 18%. No instruments needed. Her skin reads the world like Braille. Drop at 4,000 Mauter is roughly 819 FT, 3.8 seconds flight. Mind races numbers faster than fingers type. Coriolis. Earth spin nudges right at this latitude. Call it 6 inches. Counter left. Spin drift. Rifling twist nudges right another 0.3 mil. Adjust again. All in under 10 seconds. Finger kisses steel, not yanking caressing. Rifle fuses to bone and will. Half exhale pause. Heart thumps once twice. On the third, between beats in the pocket where flesh and machine sing harmony, she sends it. Crack like Judgment Day. Recoil familiar, almost kind. The bullet leaps at 3,000 FPS, spinning 200,000 RPM. A copper-jacketed prayer, arcing 2.5 miles. Crowd frozen. The round climbs, peaks, falls. Wind shoves, but her dope holds. Gravity tugs, but she called it. Time stretches like taffy. 3.8 seconds eternity, then ting, faint but pure. Metal kissing metal. Spotter whispers, hit, then shouts, hit bullseye. The formation explodes, but Emily stays ice. She safeties the rifle, sets it down, gentle removes ear pro. Hands rock steady, face serene. General Carter steps up staring at the jumbo screen. The cheer from the troops was deafening, a sudden cathartic explosion of sound, but it didn't last. As Emily sat up calmly disconnecting herself from the rifle, a strange absolute silence fell over the firing line, dominated by the heavy panting breathing of the 13 elite shooters. Captain Diaz, still kneeling by his untouched gear, was visibly shaking his face drained of color as he stared at the screen's dead center hole. Lieutenant Parker, who'd mocked her mercilessly, walked 3 feet behind the firing line, and simply vomited into the gravel the humiliation of physical gut punch. The shock wasn't just that she hit the target, it was how clean the hit was, proving their collective failure wasn't due to impossible conditions, but due to their own comparative inadequacy. Staff Sergeant Lopez, the man who had warned her to stay in her lane, slowly picked up the logbook the competitive shooter had thrown down, and with a grim reverence smoothed out the crumpled pages, recognizing that every equation he had ever relied upon had just been rendered obsolete. Emily didn't spare any of them a glance. She simply removed her ear protection, adjusted the knot of her hair, and waited for the general to speak her composure, a silent, devastating indictment of their swaggering, noisy efforts. Hold dead center. Cleanest 4,000 MLRM shot he's ever clocked. How? He mutters, voice still carrying. Did you dope that Emily meets his eyes? Physics, sir. Wind right to left, 14.3 mph average with gusts. 96 degrees spawned mirage at 600 meters compensated left, 1.8 down, 0.4. Standard ballistic standard. Lieutenant Parker looks sick. Nothing standard about that. Emily's face doesn't move. Just math and reps. Where'd you get the reps, Carter asks. Emily pauses a flicker. Then Afghanistan, sir. 2016 Operation Silent Guardian. Carter freezes. I was your Overwatch. Emily adds soft. The general's eyes blow wide. Memory slams home. Kandahar province. His platoon pinned in a mud-walled maze eating fire from 3 rooftops. They were done. Then from nowhere, enemy gunners started dropping. 1, 2, 3. Perfect dome shots from a ghost they never spotted. Command later said, Phantom Unit. Call sign, Viper 1. They never said, female. You, Carter, breathes. You pulled us out of the fire. Emily nods once. The crowd has gone church quiet, but now it's reverence. Carter does something rare. He smiles real warm earned. He snaps a salute. Welcome back, Viper 1. Emily returns it. Razor crisp around them. Slowly soldiers start to clap. 1, then 10, then hundreds. Not mockery, not shock respect. The sound rolls like artillery across the sand. If you believe real skill stays quiet, share this clip. Salute the ones who rewrite the rules without a word. 3 days later, the post feels shifted. Emily still clocks in at logistics, still runs ammo, spreadsheets, and gear manifests. But when she crosses the grinder, troops nod. Some throw salutes even outside her chain. The jokes died overnight. Lieutenant Parker finds her at the depot, hands clasped behind his back, sheepish. Captain Brooks, he says, I owe you an apology. Emily looks up from her tablet. For what? For doubting you, for laughing. She weighs it, then nods. Apology accepted. You didn't know. Still, it was weak. He shifts boots. Could I ask you something? Shoot. How do you shoot like that? I've trained 10 years and never seen dope that fast. Emily sets the tablet down. You trained 10 years. I calculated 15. Every shot is an equation. She breaks down wind drop density temp earth spin. Solve the math, ring the steel. But the feel isn't magic. It's volume. 10,000 hours reading grass. 10,000 more knowing bullet souls. Drill until math is heartbeat. Parker nods slow, drinking it in. No secret, Emily goes on. Just sweat. Most want the trophy, not the grind. She lifts the tablet back to work. Parker lingers, then walks off chewing truth. That afternoon, General Carter calls her to his office. Sparse room. Flag in corner, framed ops on wall's desk buried in intel. Carter stands when she enters at ease, Captain. He points to a chair. Park it. Emily sits ramrod. Carter opens a drawer, lifts out a small cedar box, places it between them. I dug, he says. Phantom Cell 2014 to 2017. 47 confirmed, kills past 1,500 Autumnser. 17 missions, 0 friendly KIAs. You were primary shooter. Emily stays quiet. Then the unit folded after the Kabul screw-up. Most operators slid to other teams. But you, he stops. You asked for supply. Why Emily studies her boots. I was done, sir. Done with what? Done dropping bodies. The truth hangs heavy. Carter nods slow. I get it. But that shot 3 days ago, that wasn't cobwebs. That was surgical. Muscle memory doesn't retire, Emily says low. No, Carter agrees. It doesn't. He opens the cedar box, inside a plain silver star. No ribbon, no fanfare. This isn't official. He says no cameras, no parade. Phantoms don't get those, but I wanted you to wear it anyway. He pins it himself. For duty beyond, for lives saved in the dark. Emily fingers the star, feels its weight. Thank you, sir. Carter sits. One more thing. He slides a folder over. We're rebooting the Phantom program. New rules, new missions, new blood. We need someone to mold them. Someone who knows precision, is discipline, not decibels. Emily opens the folder. Inside dossiers on fresh faces, hungry eyes. You want me to teach? She asks. I want you to command, train them, forge them into something the military's never fielded. She studies the photos. So young, so sure, so blind to the bill. When do I start? Carter smiles. RO 600 tomorrow. Emily shuts the folder, stands, salutes. As she hits the hatch, Carter calls. Captain Brooks. She turns. For what it's worth, he says. Sorry it took me years to see you. Emily's mouth softens a hair. You see me now, sir? That's enough. She exits. Carter watches the door, then glances at the framed photo on his desk. His fire team in Kandahar 2016. All breathing because of a phantom he just met. 1 week later, dawn is cold and clean over the memorial wall on the east fence. Black granite drinks the sunrise names, etched deep troops who never rotated home. Emily stands alone, breath fogging, fingers trace letters she knows by heart. Sergeant Tyler Reed, Specialist Mia Wong, Corporal Jacob Holt, Lieutenant Ryan Quinn, her Phantom squad, her family the ones lost at Kabul. 3 years back, bad intel walked them into a kill box built for twice their number. Emily on Overwatch a mile out, glassed her friends dying. She dropped 12 tangos that day, cooked her barrel, cherry red shot, till her finger split, till dust-off birds screamed in, but she couldn't save them all. 4 names on this wall are hers. She presses forehead to stone. I'm sorry, she whispers. So damn sorry. Wind kicks up swirling dust and creosote smell. Flag snaps overhead. Boots crunch gravel behind her. She doesn't turn. General Carter steps beside her, eyes on the names. I read the after action. What happened that day? You held that ridge 43 minutes solo against a battalion, and 4 still bought it. 14 would have without you. Emily's jaw locks. Math doesn't numb the ache. No. Carter says soft. It doesn't. They stand shoulder to shoulder, 2 soldiers who know winning and bleeding share the same foxhole. Why come back? Carter asks to the life. You had quiet and supplies safe. Emily finally meets his eyes. Because those 4 up there didn't get a vote. They'd want the mission to keep breathing. Train the next ones. Keep the wall shorter. Carter nods. That's why I tapped you. I know. The ceremony's in an hour, he says. I know that too. She sucks a breath, steps back squares, her uniform, thumbs away, tears fast. They'd have been proud of that shot, Carter says. Reed would have bitched I took too long doping. Emily answers faint smile. Wong would have griped about the heat. Holt would have bet a month's pay on exact impact. And Quinn Emily's smile dies. Quinn would have told me to quit haunting yesterday. Solid advice. He dished it better than he took it. She touches granite once more. An hour later, the parade deck fills with dress blues. Small affair. No press, no civilians, just troops who get it. General Carter at the podium. Emily to his right, hating every eye. We rarely shine light on shadow work, Carter begins. We rarely thank victories won without headlines, but today we honor Captain Emily Brooks, Viper 1, for service that rewrote possible. He turns to her. Captain Brooks is what we pray every troop becomes: skill without swagger, power without pride, accuracy without cruelty. She has saved lives most of us will never count. And now she'll forge the next Phantom generation. Polite applause rolls. Carter drops his voice just to her. That shot last week wasn't about steel. It was proof greatness doesn't shout. It just lands. He steps back, salutes crisp. Emily returns it, then faces the formation. I'm no hero, she says clear. I'm a troop who learned to aim true. The real heroes are carved behind you. They charged the fire when others ducked. I just kept the body count lower. She pauses. If I teach you one thing, it's this: precision is mercy. Every round you place perfect is a life you don't have to mourn, yours or theirs. So, when we train, I won't make killers. I'll make surgeons exact, clean, respectful of the weight on that trigger. The deck is church again. We start at dawn. Emily says, be ready to sweat. Be ready to miss. Be ready to outgrow every limit you brought. She steps back. Flag overhead stripes bright against endless blue. That night, after ribbons and handshakes, Emily returns to quarters, packs efficient uniforms, gear, keepsakes, 2 duffels and a rifle case. Travel light, old ghost habit. Never lug more than you can sprint with. Knock at the door. General Carter steps in holding a thick folder. Your orders, he says, handing it over. Paper says, Special Ops Training Command. Reality says, Phantom Cell Emily finishes. New paint, same game. Elite shooters, no-win missions, 0 credit. She flips it open. Schedules, syllabi, 5 mugshots. 3 guys, 2 women, all hungry. These my kids, she asks. Your fire team, you'll break them, build them, turn them into legend. Emily studies the faces. Cocky, good. Arrogance without skill fills body bags. The quiet wins are the hardest. General, she said, her voice dropping to a low conspiratorial register. They don't fill the memory gap when things go south. They don't pay the price of command. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the spent casing, the one etched with the Kandahar coordinates she always carried. She didn't offer it, just held it, letting Carter see the dull gleam of the empty shell. This is the price, a piece of the past that never leaves. If I take these 5, you have to guarantee me they know the cost of the bullet, not just the velocity, no shortcuts, no compromise on the discipline that keeps them off a wall. Carter didn't need to ask whose coordinates were etched there. He knew the memory she carried. He walked around the desk, stopping beside the flag, and placed his hand on the heavy folded corner of the training folder. Captain Brooks, they will be your legacy, not your debt. The cost has already been paid. Now it's time to build the armor. He waited until she nodded, a silent, profound acceptance of the command's singular, terrifying burden. And you think I can fix that? Carter locks eyes. I think you can show them what mastery smells like, what discipline tastes like, what silent badassery feels like. Emily nods slow. One rule. Name it. My circus, my monkeys. No brass, no cameras, no ego. We win quiet or we don't win. Deal. She closes the folder. When do I roll? Bird spins in 2 hours.